Picture Manchuria in the early 20th century, a vast frontier at the crossroads of empires. Amid this geopolitical chessboard, a single railway line carved through the landscape. For decades, this Chinese Eastern Railway served as a lifeline of commerce and a symbol of national pride. But in 1935, an unexpected turn of events would transform this vital artery into a pawn in a dangerous game of international politics. As tensions mounted across East Asia, the fate of this railway became intertwined with the desperate choices of leaders and the looming shadow of global conflict. What forces could compel China to relinquish such a strategic asset for a mere pittance, and at what cost? The birth of a contentious railway. The Chinese Eastern Railway, initially a commercial venture in 1896, quickly became a focal point of international tension and a tool for Russian expansion in Manchuria. While the original contract seemed to safeguard Chinese interests, Russia's actions revealed a different agenda. The railway's strategic importance extended beyond commerce and military use, serving as a lifeline for Russian influence in the region. Russian manipulation profoundly affected everyday Chinese citizens. Local farmers often found their land expropriated for railway construction, with inadequate compensation, fueling resentment among the Chinese population. As Russia tightened its grip on the railway, tensions escalated, directly leading to the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905. Japan saw the railway as a strategic threat to its own ambitions in the region. During the war, local Chinese populations began to support Japan, despite China's formal alliance with Russia, indicating deep-seated animosity towards perceived Russian betrayal, from imperial asset to Soviet burden. The Russian Revolution of 1917 left the Chinese Eastern Railway's fate uncertain. China and the Soviet Union negotiated the 1924 Sino-Soviet agreements, establishing joint management. However, these accords failed to resolve tensions, leading to frequent disputes between directors. Board meetings often devolved into heated arguments over resource allocation and operational decisions. Despite conflicts, the railway remained profitable due to its strategic importance. The near war in 1929 between China and the Soviet Union profoundly impacted local populations. Residents along the railway lived in fear of military action, with many fleeing their homes. Acts of sabotage disrupted daily life and commerce, while demands for free transportation of Japanese troops further strained relations. By September 1931, the railway's future remained uncertain. The Soviets, recognizing its economic and political value, delayed redemption negotiations, exacerbating tensions with China in an increasingly volatile geopolitical climate. The final act, a desperate sale. By 1935, East Asia's geopolitical landscape had become volatile. China faced multiple crises, including Japanese aggression in Manchuria, forcing consideration of selling the strategic Chinese Eastern Railway. The Soviet Union sought to divest its railway interests to reduce tensions with Japan. Negotiations were complex and tense, with initial Soviet asking prices of 250 million rubles and Japanese bids of 50 million yen revealing vast disparities. Consider Zhang Wei, a Chinese railway worker whose livelihood hung in the balance. As talks progressed, the Soviets lowered their price to 170 million rubles, while Japan countered with 120 million yen. Each offer sent ripples through thousands of lives like Zhang's. China vehemently protested, arguing that any sale without its consent would violate previous agreements and undermine its sovereignty. The proposed transaction to Manchukuo, widely viewed as illegitimate, further complicated matters. The sale of the Chinese Eastern Railway in 1935 reshaped East Asian geopolitics, illustrating how infrastructure becomes a pawn in international relations. This transaction, born of economic desperation and strategic calculations, exemplifies the complex interplay between economic interests and national sovereignty. The railway's fate set the stage for future conflicts in the region, influencing power dynamics for decades. As we examine this historical event, we see its enduring relevance in shaping modern geopolitical issues. The story of the Chinese Eastern Railway serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that seemingly mundane infrastructure projects can become flashpoints of international tension. How do contemporary disputes over territory and resources echo the strategic implications of this pivotal moment in history?